Greeting fellow modelers, here in part 4 of our GPM He111p-2 build, we're going to do two main things, landing gear and make ourselves a wheel. So, without further ado, let's begin. This video is going to be very technical, so let's deal with the landing gear. Here, you see so many parts, it can be intimidating and even daunting when we look on the instructions, but let's just take it a bit at a time. At this scale, because it's so small, we're going to use a lot of toothpick for the struts. So here you see I'm measuring them and clipping to the size needed. And I'm doing this for all those struts. Now the cross brace that holds the main strut of the landing gear, I doubled it and I use super glue to straighten it. Here you see I'm aligning it, mark it with pencil, and then use super glue, and this I'm going to tack into place. Now follow me here. Once I tack it, I am going to then coat the cross brace with super glue to make it stronger. Mark the other side. I'm going to just apply to the cross brace just a drop just to hold it in place. Once we align and everything is parallel, we then seal it. And that's it, pretty much. So now we have our main landing gear strut. Now we're going to put the cross brace on top. I think it's called T13 on the plan. So here we tack that again. We coat the other side, so we got T13. Now we're going to go for 12. So we're going to cut out 12. And cut the base for it. And pretty much what I discovered in doing it at this scale and using toothpick is it is exceptionally strong. A very complicated landing gear for sure, but what I found out is even in building these models, you get an idea for the complexity and the appreciation of the real aircraft. And here we're putting the strut retract. And the beauty about using toothpick is that it goes together very quickly, especially when you're using super glue. And that's it. And now we're going to build the extension. And once we put it at the angle at which we found it on the sheet, we estimate it. We're then locking in place with super glue. So pretty much this build here is just pure super glue to build the landing gear strut. Nice. And pretty much this is it. Look at that. Now there are little extra pieces which are to go on, which will represent the shock absorbers and everything. And pretty much this is what it looks like. Not bad. I quite love how it turned out. So from here, we're going to then paint it. Yes? So we get our regular watercolor paint, the various shades of gray, and we put on a base coat. And from here, we can put in a little silver to make it metallic where the struts are. And yeah, pretty much it comes out looking really decent. We repeat the process twice. We install and super glue into place. And that's it. Look at that. Lovely. We set to dry, and that is what it looks like. Lovely, lovely arrangement. So here is how I made my very first aircraft wheel from paper model for YouTube. So we just do a little coloring, we do the touch up, and now that looks nice, looks neat. Let's do some wheel. I get a black cardstock. So I cut into 3mm, 4mm, 2mm for various reasons. So here you see I'm measuring on the cardstock a 3mm cut, and I'll do 2 sets of that. I'll lengthen it, and then I'll cut 4mm and then join along the center. So you see I do, like, by the time I cut, it's quite a band. I then super glue one part, attach it to a toothpick, and start rolling. And then I use my tweezer to hold it together, but keep rolling. There's much simpler ways, you could cut the circles out and do it. But for me, at this scale, just using cartridge paper, as we call them, or construction card paper, we just roll, and pretty much we have it. That last strip on top, on the 2mm strip that I use to form the very edge of the wheel. I use a nail file that you can get in any beauty store, and just use a rough part to basically get the shape down, then the fine part to fine tune, and pretty much that's it, your wheel. Now here I'm cutting out the parts for the inside of it, hence why the inside ring was 2mm, and then 3, then 4mm, and then the part was reversed. So you see I'm cutting out the different rings. I am painting the wheel we just did, and then I'm using the toothpick to roll it. Now remember, this is a 1/72 scale model, so everything is twice as small. Here I'm applying glue to then put the parts on. The very center part, then the inner ring, then the outer ring. Here you see now I just apply and fix in place slowly. So that's what forms the curve. And it works for me. It works for me at this scale. I don't know what to say. You can try your luck, but this one is what worked for me and worked quite well. Then I use my silver marker. This is just before I check the fit, and then I'm going to super glue it in position. Once dry, I can just clip the edge off. Make sure the alignment is good. Awesome. Time to clip. And pretty much that's it. Now, here's the thing. Let's put some threading on it. So I'm just using the ruler to just get a rough gauge of how straight to make it. This is just my attempt. And then I freehand after a while to get the edges. And yes, I use light gray because it will dry out and fade. You just want just a faint marking of it. And then I use the brown pencil to create that illusion of dirt on it. Yes? And that's pretty much how I did it. I hope you like what you saw so far. That's it. Please consider liking and subscribing to my channel and liking this video. The algorithm would love it. So until then, my friends, finally, let's get to the fuselage. Until then, one love.